Precious Akuleye was running. Her heels were gone, lost 2 streets back, and the cold Seoul pavement bit into her bare feet like broken glass. Behind her, 3 black SUVs screeched around a corner, headlights slicing through the rain like search beams hunting for a criminal. Her chest burned. Her breath came out in white clouds. She had exactly one thought in her head: if they catch me tonight, nobody will ever find my body. A hand shot out from a parked taxi and grabbed her wrist. "Get in if you want to live." She didn't argue. She didn't have time to argue. She threw herself into the back seat, and the taxi peeled off into the rain just as the first SUV skidded past the spot where she'd been standing seconds earlier. Only then did she look up. Only then did she see the driver's eyes in the rearview mirror, calm, sharp, amused, like a man who did this sort of thing every Tuesday. "You day follow film?" she managed between gasps. "Why person go day chase innocent woman for road like say na Nollywood?" The driver didn't answer. He just smiled, and something about that smile told her this was not her first strange night in Seoul, and it would not be her last. 3 weeks earlier, none of this had started like a Mafia story. It had started like every immigrant story starts, with a dream, a suitcase, and not enough money. Precious had come to Seoul on a content creation visa, chasing a dream of building an Afro-Korean fashion brand that mixed Ankara prints with hanbok silhouettes. She had a small following, a big heart, and an empty bank account. Every night she told herself, "Precious, Korea no go kill you. Nijadan already train you for suffer and smile." She was in Itaewon, arguing with a phone charger that refused to charge, when the rain started pouring like heaven itself was vexed with her life choices. She ran to the roadside, waved for a taxi, and one pulled up almost instantly, too instantly, like it had been waiting for her. She jumped in without really looking at the driver. "Gangnam, please. Fast before this rain wash away my human dignity." "Seatbelt first," the voice from the front said. "Dignity is easier to keep when you're alive." She rolled her eyes and clipped the belt. That was the first time she noticed his voice, deep, unhurried, the kind of voice that made simple sentences sound like secrets. "You day always talk like philosopher, or na only me you day try 'em for?" He glanced at her through the mirror. "Only people who argue with chargers in the rain." She froze. "How you take see me, you be stalker. I've been parked outside that convenience store for 10 minutes. You've been fighting that charger since minute 2. She laughed despite herself, the first real laugh she'd had in days. "A beg no go tell person say na so I take day fight cable for road like say I day do exorcism. Your secret is safe with me." His name, he said, was Han. Just Han. No surname, no story, no explanation for why a simple cab driver wore a watch that probably cost more than her yearly rent, or why his hands, when they gripped the wheel, looked like hands that had held something heavier than a steering wheel before. She didn't ask questions that night. She was too busy being grateful for a dry ride and a stranger who made her laugh in a foreign city that had, so far, only made her cry. But Seoul is small when fate wants it to be small, and over the next 2 weeks, Han's taxi kept appearing exactly where Precious needed a ride. Outside her apartment, outside client meetings, outside the market where she bought suya spice substitutes from the one Nigerian shop in the city. She began to think either God was matchmaking her, or something was deeply wrong. "Are you following me?" she asked one evening, half joking, half serious, as she climbed in after a long day of being ignored by Korean investors who found her too different for their brand. "Seoul has 11,000 taxis. If I keep showing up, maybe it's not me following you, maybe it's you who keeps needing rescuing." "Rescuing? Oga, I be strong Naija woman. Nummy rescue myself since I land this country." "Then why do you always look like you're about to cry when you get in my car?" She turned to the window so he wouldn't see her face crumble. It was true. Every ride with him had become the only 10 minutes of her day when she let her guard down, when the loneliness of being a black woman alone in Korea didn't feel so heavy. He didn't push. He just turned on the radio, low, some old Korean ballad humming underneath their silence, and let her have her moment. That was the night she learned his first Korean phrase to her. Not a pickup line, not flirtation, just quiet comfort. "Ko gwenchana enus," he murmured. "It's okay." She didn't understand the words, but she understood the tone, and somehow, in a taxi in the rain with a stranger whose surname she didn't know, she believed him. Comedy found its way into their story, the way comedy always finds its way into real love, through embarrassment. It was a Friday. Precious had a big meeting with a Korean fabric supplier who was notoriously difficult, a man who supposedly only respected people who could speak fluent, aggressive business Korean. She'd spent all week practicing 3 sentences with the help of a translation app, rehearsing them like Bible verses. She got into Han's taxi, nervous, muttering her lines under her breath. Ko tsanun enus, ko chwekoi enus, ko wondanu enus, ko wonhipnida enus. I want the best fabric. That's not what you think it means, Han said, trying not to laugh. Wetin you mean, Nobi, so I go tell AM. You just told him you want the best fabric like you're demanding a husband. She screamed. Actual scream, the kind that made pedestrians turn and look at the taxi like something was on fire. Oga Han, why you no tell me since? I done day rehearse this nonsense for 3 days like any CO candidate. I wanted to see how far you'd take it. You're wicked. Pure evil, somebody go arrest you for emotional wahala. He was laughing now too, a real laugh, rare and unguarded, and for the first time she saw a crack in the calm mask he always wore. A boy underneath the businessman. A person underneath the mystery. Fine, he said, wiping his eyes. Let me teach you the real one, say it slow. By the time she got to the meeting, she nailed her lines, closed the deal, and walked out feeling like the Queen of Seoul. She didn't know yet that the taxi driver who taught her those words owned half the building she just walked out of. The suspense crept in slowly, the way smoke creeps under a door before you realize the house is burning. It started with small things. A black car that idled too long outside her apartment. A man in a suit who took her photograph at the market and didn't apologize when she caught him. Whispers in a coffee shop that stopped the moment she walked past, in a language she didn't fully understand but somehow still felt aimed at her. She mentioned it to Han one night, trying to laugh it off. I don day feel like film character. Somebody day watch me, I swear. His jaw tightened, just slightly, just enough that if she hadn't been staring at him, she would have missed it. Which car? He asked, not are you sure, not you're imagining things. Just which car. She described it. He said nothing for almost a full minute, eyes fixed on the road, knuckles pale against the wheel. Stay away from Cheongdam-dong for the next few weeks, he finally said. And if that car ever follows you again, don't run home, come to me. Han wetin day happen, you day scare me now. It's nothing, he said, but the way he said it sounded like a man convincing himself, not her. That night, for the first time, he walked her all the way up to her apartment door instead of just dropping her at the curb. He didn't try anything. He just stood there in the hallway light, close enough that she could smell rain and something like gunmetal and cologne underneath it. Precious, her name in his mouth sounded like it belonged to a different language entirely. Whatever happens, I need you to trust me, even the parts of me you haven't met yet. Wetin be the parts I never meet. He touched her cheek, gentle, like she was something breakable in a world full of things that broke easily. Ko satunghe, enus, he whispered. I love you. He didn't wait for her to understand it. He just turned and walked away before she could ask him to explain, leaving her standing in the hallway with her heart doing something it hadn't done in years, hoping, recklessly, dangerously, for a man whose last name she still didn't know. She found out his last name 3 days later, and it came from the worst possible source. A gun pointed at her head. She'd been walking home from a late fitting when the black SUV boxed her in, exactly like something out of a movie she used to watch back home and laugh at, thinking, this kind thing no day really happened for real life. A man grabbed her arm. Another man spoke into a phone in rapid Korean. The only word she caught clearly was a name. Han Ji-hoon's woman, he said, Han Ji-hoon. Her cab driver had a full name. A full name that made grown men in suits lower their voices and grip their weapons tighter. She didn't have time to process it before she was thrown into a car, before the world blurred into fear and rain, and the smell of leather seats that weren't Han's familiar taxi. That was when the story you read at the very beginning happened again, except this time you're seeing it from the inside. This time you know why she ran. This time you know whose hands pulled her into safety. Back in the rescuing taxi, dripping wet, heart-hammering, Precious finally demanded the truth. Who be you, Seth? Cab driver way dem day call Han Ji-hoon's woman like say I be property. Talk true, Han. Talk now before I jump Kamat from this moving car. He exhaled, long and slow, like a man setting down a weight he'd carried for years. My father runs the Ji-hoon syndicate, one of the 3 families that control everything south of the river, shipping, real estate, half the clubs in Gangnam. I'm supposed to inherit all of it. So you know be taxi driver. I've never driven a taxi that wasn't mine. I bought this one specifically. Why? Why person way get money like river go come day drive taxi for road like ordinary Lagos Danfo driver? Because the first time I saw you, you were crying in the rain, fighting with a phone charger like it owed you money. And I wanted a reason to see you again without frightening you off with everything I actually am. She stared at him, torn between wanting to slap him and wanting to kiss him, which, as any woman who has ever loved a complicated man knows, are sometimes the exact same feeling wearing two different faces. You done lie to me since. I never lied, I just delayed the truth. No wao Korean version of I know day do serious relationship. I no go tell you say I be Mafia Prince Abi. Despite the danger, despite the rain still pouring outside, despite the men who were undoubtedly still searching for her, he laughed, a real, surprised laugh, and something in her chest loosened at the sound of it. There's a rival family, he continued, sobering. The Choi line. They've wanted to weaken my father for years, and they know the fastest way to hurt him is to hurt the one thing he can't protect through business, me. They've been watching you because they know what you are to me, even before I said it out loud. So na because of you, person one kidnap innocent Naija babe way come Korea to sell Ankara and Hanbo mixture design. Yes. No apology, no softening, just brutal, simple honesty. And I would burn down every building my family owns before I let them touch you. She wanted to be angry. She had every right to be angry. But there was something about a man who looked at her the way soldiers look at the flag they're sworn to protect that made anger very hard to hold on to. Ko-oppa enus, she said, testing the word for the first time, clumsy and warm. Older brother / darling, his whole face changed. Say it again. Ko-oppa enus. Wet and you like am? I like it when it's you saying it. The tension in the car cracked open into something softer, and for a moment, just a moment in the middle of danger, chaos, and a mafia war neither of them had asked for, they let themselves have a quiet, ordinary human moment. His hand found hers across the seat. She didn't pull away. We need a plan, she said finally, because someone had to be practical, and clearly it wasn't going to be the mafia prince currently driving them in circles to lose their tail. I know fit just day run Kamat for road like film extra for the rest of my life. My father has a safe house outside the city. If we can get there before morning, we can regroup, figure out how deep the Choi family's information network goes. Someone close to us has been feeding them details. You mean somebody day betray you from inside? Yes, and I have a very short list of people it could be, she swallowed. Wetin if na person way close reach your heart? His silence answered the question more completely than words could have. Somewhere in that syndicate, someone he trusted was working against him, and the weight of that betrayal sat heavier on his shoulders than any gun pointed at Precious's head ever could. They drove through backroads Precious didn't recognize, past rice fields ghostly under moonlight, past small towns where nobody would think to look for a mafia heir and his Nigerian designer girlfriend. Somewhere along that quiet stretch of road, between fear and adrenaline, they allowed themselves 15 minutes of something like peace. He pulled the taxi over near a cliff overlooking the dark, glittering coastline, engine off, rain finally slowing to a drizzle against the windshield. If tonight na my last night, Precious said quietly, staring out at the water, at least make I get better memory pass phone charger wahala for one. You want a better memory? Give me one now, Han Ji-hoon. Since na so life just decide to turn film. He turned to her slowly, cupping her face like it was the only steady thing in a world that had just gone completely sideways, and kissed her, soft at first, then deeper, like every unspoken week of tension between charger jokes and Korean lessons, and silent taxi rides had finally found somewhere to land. She kissed him back like she was memorizing him, in case the sunrise took him away from her. When they finally broke apart, breathless, foreheads pressed together, she managed a shaky laugh. If we survive this, you owe me one whole explanation, and a real date, not one-way day inside moving taxi with kidnappers day chase us. Deal, he whispered against her lips. I'll even let you pick the restaurant. Correct. Make sure he get jollof rice option. Oh, I know one here authentic Korean fusion way no get pepper. Anything for you? Ko ne enus? Ko satung enus? My love, but peace in a mafia romance never lasts long enough to enjoy it properly, and just as her heart began to settle, his phone buzzed, a single text, from a number he clearly recognized because his entire body went rigid. He turned the screen toward her, and even without understanding every word, she understood the photograph attached to it. Her own apartment building, its front door kicked open, and a single message beneath it in Korean that made Han's hands begin to shake for the first time all night. They know where you live, he said quietly, voice suddenly very far away. And this message, it's not from the Choi family. Then who? He looked at her, and for the first time since she met him, Precious saw real, unguarded fear in Han Ji-hoon's eyes. It's from my brother. The engine roared back to life, tires spinning against wet gravel, the taxi lurching back onto the road as thunder cracked somewhere over the black water behind them. And whatever came next, Precious understood one thing clearly. The story wasn't over. It had only just started showing its teeth. If you want to know what Han's brother wants, why the Ji-hoon family is really at war, and whether Precious survives her first night as the woman a Korean Mafia prince loves, you already know what to do. Hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment telling me if you trust Han, or if you think he's hiding something even bigger, and stay till the very end. Because episode 2 drops the truth nobody saw coming. Don't miss it, ka sa tunghe, inus, and see you in the next one.